joint communion, campground meeting.
You guys, ours were the exceptions.
I always wonder when these guys
fun.
have these romantic descriptions of the immediacy of it all.
Yeah.
Love songs to Jesus.
Yeah, what about if what immediately came to you from Jesus was genocide, abortion, and some other sorts of fruits? Would that bother you? Do you think there'd be a corrective needed? And if so, why?
Yeah.
You've got no check on it from Scripture.
Yeah, what could distinguish this from a neurosis
Well, when David,
Or demonic.
when
or
David
demonic,
Koresh does it, we're aware of how dangerous these kind of guys can be.
Yeah.
But flip it around and make it romantic and experiential, and nobody blinks. But it's epistemologically, it's the exact same thing.
Sure.
We've mentioned J. Gresham Machen. By the way, for those who don't know who he was a professor of New Testament at Princeton Seminary who got thrown out on his ear because he wasn't nice enough, at least according to reports. They didn't actually fight him on doctrinal grounds, which is what he wanted. They said that he was he wasn't playing fairly enough. He was a perfect gentleman, but he was standing up for truth in that book, Christianity and Liberalism, saying liberalism is not a tradition within Christianity. Liberalism is not on the left end of Christianity.
Yeah.
Liberalism
It's another religion.
from beginning to end is another religion.
Yes.
It doesn't have a few differences from Christianity. It is substantially,
And the
from A to Z, a different religion.
And the atheist Walter Lippmann said on the
Yeah.
back cover that
He's
he had
right.
demonstrated this.
Well, and here's Harold Bloom. Harold Bloom, the Gnostic, self-proclaimed Gnostic, I've been reading from. Yale professor, Columbia University professor. He says there are only two people who stand out as antitheses to what I'm describing here as the American Gnosticism. Now, one of them is a European, Karl Barth. He said the other is J. Gresham Machen.
Interesting you'd put Machen and Barth together.
Here's what he says, how he explains that. Quote, Barth knows the difference between the Reformed faith and Gnosis. Where Barth was confident in a transcendent God and deeply suspicious of human experience, morality, or religion as a way of scaling the wall separating creator and creature, pietism and liberalism were locked in victory mode.
Whoa.
The other anti-Gnostic figure is J. Gresham Machen. What we call fundamentalists, says Bloom, are really Gnostics of an anti-intellectual variety. If there were a possibility of an anti-Gnostic version of fundamentalism, says Bloom, such proponents would find their archetype in the formidable J. Gresham Machen, a remarkable Presbyterian New Testament scholar at Princeton who published a vehement defense of traditional Christianity in 1923 with the aggressive title Christianity and Liberalism. Bloom adds, I have just read my way through this with distaste and discomfort, but with reluctant and growing admiration for Machen's mind. I have never seen a stronger case made for the argument that institutional Christianity must regard cultural liberalism as an enemy to the faith.
Wow.
Isn't that
From a
great?
Gnostic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he says, in contrast to this defense of traditional Christianity, those who came to be called fundamentalists are more like the Spanish fascism of Franco, heirs of Franco's crusade against the mind. They're not the legatees of Machen.
And really, early on, Machen and the others knew that. They could have joined in with the fundamentalists and been tapped into money without end. And God bless them, they said, I think we're going to train Reformed pastors instead.
Yeah. This explains, Mike, why our listeners will find this odd set of alliances. You'll have cultural conservatives allied in the culture wars, political liberals allied in the culture wars. You'll have confessional Protestants, and all of us, I think, would fit in that category. Ken is a confessional Baptist. We're confessional Reformed Christians, Rod being a Lutheran. We don't fit with the cultural conservatives because we have two kingdoms. We don't fit with the political left because we take human sin seriously and think that redemption will come from God, not from man. We're united in our focus on the objective preaching of Christ and Him crucified as the means by which Christianity is to be spread and catechized.
Yeah.
And then our focus on worship is on God coming and visiting us. Our worship service is therefore divine service.
Yeah.
And gathering a people, not a person.
Gathering of people, God's people together to share the experience of God speaking to us through His Word and then blessing that with the sacraments. That makes us different than any other religion.
And the emphasis, again, is not the personal experience, even though
Right.
personal experience is a part
the
of it.
result.
And people will
Yeah.
have it
Yes.
as a result.
Absolutely, but we call, as Jude says, our focus is on the faith that was once delivered to the body of Christ,
Yeah.
once and for all delivered.
The devil wants to convince all of us that which is external, the church, sacraments, preaching of the word, the ministry, creeds, confessions, that all of these things that are external to me and my inward experience are enemies. The external church, the external word are threats to my inner experience of this personal encounter with Jesus. But really in truth, it is to call us out of, to liberate us from bondage, that God calls us out by this external word. Because
And a good church does that, and a bad one sends you the other direction and deeper into the self.
That's right. It's like if you're in a burning building, you need somebody outside of that burning building to save you. You need someone to come get you. But it's going to have to be a rescuer from the outside. That's what we need, folks.
It's outside of you where the solution is to the madness that's
one
inside.
One particular Jewish man nailed to one particular cross,
Yes.
dying for the sins of the world, rising again for our justification. There's your hope.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it happened.
Folks, to the extent that churches in America today feel compelled to accommodate their message and methods to these dominant forms of spirituality, they will lend evidence to the thesis that Christianity is not news based on things that actually happened, but just another form of therapy. If this were the only path of true religion, the argument of modern atheism would offer the best explanation of the whole phenomenon of religion. We never really meet God, someone who is different from us, someone who surprises us, someone who stands over against us in judgment and grace. All we meet is ourselves in the mirror and our own pious experience. We look forward to being with you again next week, where we will continue our discussion of Christless Christianity. You've been listening to The White Horse Inn. The White Horse Inn is a listener-supported broadcast. To help us get this message out, give us a call at 1-800-890-7556. That's 1-800-890-7556. You can also find information about our various support programs at our website, whitehorseinn.org. That's whitehorseinn.org.